Hello, my name is Mary Waker, and this is my report on eBooks in education for IT 7220 in winter 2013. So why did I choose ebooks as my topic for this report? First, because I love to read. I really enjoy reading. Second, several years ago I was traveling overseas for an extended period of time, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to take any books with me, so I decided to purchase some ebooks and put them on my iPod Touch. I'd never done that before, and I was a little concerned about my reading experience using an iPod Touch, but I decided to give it a try. I was very pleasantly surprised when I discovered that I could read my books without any problems, even on a smaller formatted device, and it started me thinking about how ebooks might impact learning. I do have a passion for mobile learning, and that also is one of the reasons why I decided to explore ebooks. So what is an ebook? Well, almost every definition that I looked up said basically the same thing. This is a digitally formatted book that is distributed online, and it could be displayed or read on either a computer screen or a handheld device like an iPod Touch or a smartphone or a tablet device. Digital books or ebooks are specifically, as I said, for computers or mobile devices. Ebooks are purchased online, and there are several places where you can do that, such as Apple's iBook Store or Amazon or Google. You can also rent books instead of purchasing them, and there are many books that are absolutely free. There are two formats that are typically used in the United States. The first is PDF. That's probably the oldest format, and basically it's a PDF version of a book. There are two formats for ebooks that are typically used in the United States. PDF version is probably the oldest format, and that includes text and images, and it is a static document. It's not responsive to users' needs, other than it is something you can read. You can't change the fonts, you can't change the layout, you can't readjust the size of the font, you can't zoom in or out. It's a very static form of an ebook. An EPUB, on the other hand, is a very dynamic publication. It includes text and images as well, but also can include videos, web links, different types of interactions that the reader can experience as they're going through their book. It responds to user needs. You can zoom in and zoom out. When you change the text, when you change the font size or the layout, it adjusts automatically. It's very dynamic and is a much different reading experience than a PDF ebook. So why are ebooks important? Well, in 2010 and 2011, the Horizon Report, which provides insights into emerging technologies, reported that ebooks were emerging technologies in the near future, which is within 1 to 2 years. And it also had the potential for being a transformative technology. What they meant by that is that it's not just the convenience, it's not just the cost, it is really the change in the reading experience that is the transformative part. As far as education is concerned, the 2012 Speak Up survey indicated that 1/3 of 6th to 8th graders preferred digital books for doing their schoolwork, and 44% of students preferred reading on a digital reader. The report indicated also that there is an increased access to mobile devices. 80% of students in grades 9 to 12 had access to a mobile device, 65% in grades 6 to 8, and 45% of students in grades 3 to 5 are now smartphone users. The report showed that 52% of those students now have tablets available to them. Principals also are taking advantage of the increased access to mobile technology coming into their school. And because many schools are unable to provide devices for their students, schools have decided to adopt a BYOD, or bring your own device, policy this year in their schools. And finally, we look at economics. Many schools are finding that providing ebooks is more economical than providing books in print. Why are ebooks being adopted in education? Well, they're customizable. It's very easy to work with a publisher to get specific content put together in one package that can be distributed in ebook format. If you're not going to be using every chapter in one textbook, but you might want to use one or two chapters from another textbook, publishers are working with educators to create that customized ebook that's specific for their course content. Ebooks also support reading. There are opportunities for interaction using many different features such as text-to-speech, being able to highlight words or having the words highlighted as you're reading along. This is particularly helpful for students who are challenged. Students can zoom in on particular topics. They can adjust the font size. They can also have books read to them. Text-to-speech is incorporated in many books, supporting students as they're learning to read. Ebooks can contain a great deal of multimedia. Video hyperlinks and animations are just a few. Students can interact with maps that can provide information beyond just printed content. They can also link to videos that support what they're reading or offers expanded learning opportunities. Multimedia is probably one of the most significant parts of having the ebook format. There are different ways to interact with an ebook that will support learning. Tests or simulations for lab experiments, keeping track of their learning using journals, and social highlighting, which I'm going to talk about in just a few moments. Ebooks are searchable. You can put a term into a search box and find every instance of that term in the entire book. Not something you can do with a print version. Ebooks also have the ability to provide definitions as you are reading through a text. That can be very helpful in understanding and increasing learning. If you understand what you're reading, you have a better chance of remembering it later. Ebooks don't weigh very much. In fact, you can have a whole library of books in your pocket on a device that weighs less than a pound. And so instead of carrying around 10 pounds of books, you have a single device that carries all of the books that you may be using for school or for pleasure. The likelihood of you reading a book is increased if you have it with you when you have some downtime, when you're waiting for a bus or waiting in the doctor's office. It gives you a few minutes to read. Opportunities for learning because of its mobility. Ebooks are easily updatable. Their digital format and the distribution online makes it very easy to keep textbooks up to date on information. It's not unusual for printed books to be obsolete practically as they come off the printing press. Ebooks are very engaging and can encourage young readers to become lifelong readers. And they're green. No trees were killed to create these ebooks. Costs for ebooks can be lower than print version, although I have been reading that the cost of creating a book isn't really in its published format, but rather all of the back-end activities like the editing and the layout and all of the people that are involved in getting a book to market. That's where the majority of the cost occurs. However, I suspect that down the road the costs will drop for e-formatted books. So what does the future hold? Well, I see more people, teachers, students, or anyone self-publishing using the many tools that are readily available to create an ebook. There are many venues for being able to distribute, and we're finding that teachers are creating customized ebooks that are specific to their students in their class. They're also asking students to create their own ebooks, telling their story and demonstrating their own learning in this format. Anyone can create and publish an ebook. I think we also need to look at research and explore whether or not ebooks really can impact learning, and if they can, how do they impact learning? How do they change how we read or what we read? I think we need to look at that and use that information to inform us on creating new materials for learning. I also think we need to take a look at the technology itself. Is it really the technology, or is it something else? Looking at the future is actually right now for McGraw-Hill. Their LearnSmart system, smart books, are pretty amazing documents. They interact with the student as they read through their textbook. I have a short video that I'd like you to watch. It's only about 3 minutes long, but it demonstrates where we're going or where we can go in using ebooks to support learning.
The traditional textbook has been a tool we have used to study outside the classroom. The textbook has proven itself to be a great resource, but let's face it, we don't always read the book, until maybe right before the exam. Now, imagine the possibilities if you could have a personalized reading experience with the content in your book. What if there was a resource that identified exactly what you need to read the most, allowed you to practice that content, and then directed you back to the parts of the book you need to study? Imagine your own personal study playlist. Sound cool? Today, we introduce you to a brand new way to read and learn. McGraw-Hill Education has expanded their revolutionary diagnostic and super adaptive learning capabilities with a digital version of your textbook, providing you with the first ever adaptive reading experience. Introducing SmartBook, part of McGraw-Hill's LearnSmart Advantage Suite and the first adaptive reading experience in the higher education market.
A lot of people, including myself, I don't necessarily like to read a textbook, and it makes me read the textbook, but it also focuses on what I need to know, and it encompasses it with LearnSmart and the probes and everything. It's just amazing.
SmartBook starts you off with a preview of the chapter, allowing you to scan the content. This establishes a framework in the brain so that new learning is stored in a useful and retrievable way. Now it's time to dig in deeper. As you are reading and practicing, SmartBook continuously monitors your learning by presenting questions that identify what you know and don't know. Then SmartBook literally adapts the textbook, highlighting only the material you need to study.
Whenever I'm having an issue with, it highlights it for me. So all I have to do is really scan until I see what I'm having an issue with and just read that. I don't have to read all the stuff in between.
SmartBook also asks you to recharge your learning, as it is normal to forget some content over time. By predicting what you are most likely to forget and how fast you will forget it, SmartBook can help you review that material so you don't forget it. Recharging is critical for good test results. SmartBook truly is your personalized study playlist. Imagine studying smarter. Imagine the grades you will earn. Imagine all the possibilities.
You know how you get a textbook and there's things underlined and there's people who write in the margins the definitions of the words?
Yep.
And you kind of hope that they were smart, kind of hope that they had all the right answers.
Yeah.
Now you have the right answers.
SmartBook, providing you with the first ever adaptive reading experience.
Thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it informative. You'll find a list of all the websites mentioned in my presentation available at eBooksinEducation.weebly.com. There are also several other links for free ebooks, ebook creators, and some interesting articles. I hope you enjoy it.